Welcome to Infinitia Verity, where we tackle history's deepest mysteries with a focus on facts, not fantasies. Today, we're diving into one of the most outlandish conspiracy theories out there, the phantom time hypothesis. This theory suggests that a staggering 297 years of history from 614 to 911 CE simply never occurred. Think about it. Charlemagne, the Tang Dynasty, the rise of Islam, even the Vikings, all supposedly fabricated events. But what if I told you that timekeeping doesn't lie? The phantom time hypothesis claims that there was a massive historical cover-up, and historians and scholars purposely inserted false records to align with prophecies and religious expectations. But here's where it gets interesting. The theory doesn't just overlook written records. It dismisses key physical evidence like coins, celestial events, and tree rings. Time itself is a universal constant, and we can measure it in many ways. But let's see how these physical clues show us that history is real. Get ready as we uncover the facts that make the phantom time hypothesis seem far less credible than it sounds. In the 1990s, German historian Herbert Illig introduced the phantom time hypothesis, claiming that medieval Europe conspired to create 297 years of fake history to match religious prophecies and align with the year 1000. He argued that various historical events and people like Charlemagne were simply invented, and the Gregorian calendar's creation was the key to this large-scale deception. Illig's hypothesis also pointed out gaps in architecture, inconsistent radiocarbon dating results, and mismatched solar eclipses as evidence. However, the theory completely disregards an essential truth. Time doesn't follow the whims of humans. It is driven by natural, unchangeable forces. Fact 1. One of the major problems with Illig's hypothesis is the universal consistency of calendars. The Gregorian calendar, adopted by most of the world, is not the only timekeeping method used throughout history. Other cultures independently developed calendars that align with the global timeline we have today. For example, ancient cultures like the Mayans and Chinese had highly sophisticated systems that tracked solar years, lunar phases, and even eclipses. These civilizations were not in contact with each other, but their methods of recording time line up with the chronology established by modern historians. Fact 2. Radiocarbon dating, widely used to date ancient artifacts, doesn't just give us random results. It's based on the ratio of carbon isotopes in materials and has been confirmed by other methods like tree ring data and ice core samples. In the case of the phantom time theory, the dating of coins, manuscripts, and buildings from the supposed missing centuries provides evidence that these periods actually occurred. These items still exist today, confirming the accuracy of our current historical timeline. The Gregorian calendar, introduced by Pope Gregory XIII in 1582, was designed to fix the drift of the Julian calendar. The Julian system had added too many leap years, causing the dates to gradually shift out of sync with the solar year. Gregory's reform corrected this drift by eliminating 10 days. This was an important adjustment because it realigned the dates of key events with astronomical cycles. But here's the key: if 297 years were missing, the seasonal drift would have been 11,000 days, not just 10. The calculation doesn't add up. Fact 1. When Pope Gregory instituted the calendar reform, it wasn't just Catholic Europe that made the switch. Other countries, such as the Protestant and Orthodox countries, gradually accepted it as well. And even those that did not make the change immediately continued to track time in the same fashion. This widespread adoption of the same timekeeping method eliminates the possibility that 297 years were fabricated in a coordinated global cover-up. This reform didn't just fix a problem, it relied on centuries of accurate astronomical knowledge. Fact 2. The Gregorian calendar wasn't the first attempt to correct the drifting Julian calendar. Before Gregory's reform, there were numerous attempts by scholars, such as Eusebius of Caesarea, to adjust the Roman calendar to be more precise. These scholars utilized astronomical observations of solar and lunar cycles and created accurate mathematical systems to track time, demonstrating that ancient civilizations had the tools to measure and record time accurately for centuries. Trees are nature's chronologists. Every year they grow a new ring, which we can use to study the exact timeline of environmental conditions across the centuries. The Hohenheim chronology in Germany stretches back over 12,000 years, and during the 7th to 10th centuries, there are no signs of anomalies, no skipped years. In fact, these tree ring sequences are some of the most accurate records we have, and they've been cross-referenced with numerous historical records to confirm the consistency of time during the Phantom period. The ring width can tell us about climate, weather patterns, and the growth conditions of trees. Fact 1. The tree ring records are so precise that they allow scientists to link them to specific historical events. For example, the short, intense drought of the late 6th century recorded in tree rings aligns perfectly with written records from various cultures about famines and economic instability during that period. This indicates that the time frame isn't missing but has been well documented in natural records. Fact 2. Tree rings also provide evidence of cosmic events like the 775 CE cosmic ray spike, a massive burst of energy from the sun or an external source that affected Earth's atmosphere. This event was recorded in both tree rings and Chinese historical chronicles, further corroborating the timeline. This cosmic event would have been impossible to fabricate in 297 missing years, since the data points clearly connect to other known events in history, such as solar flares and astronomical phenomena. The Islamic Hijri calendar, which began in 622 CE with the Prophet Muhammad's migration, provides an additional layer of evidence. Today, it's 1445 AH. But if 297 years were missing, the calendar would only show 1148 AH. That's a discrepancy of almost 300 years. Clearly, the Islamic calendar doesn't align with the idea of missing years. Fact 1. The Hijri calendar is entirely based on the lunar cycle, which is incredibly predictable and consistent. For centuries, the calendar has been meticulously tracked by Islamic astronomers. They recorded solar and lunar events, such as eclipses, with high precision. If there were a hole in the timeline of 297 years, it would be glaringly obvious in their astronomical records. Fact 2. Islamic scholars in the 8th and 9th centuries, including figures like Al-Khwarizmi, who is credited with developing algebra, documented their works with precise dates. These dates fit perfectly with the timeline of other cultures. For example, Al-Razi's work on chemistry in the 9th century, written in the Islamic Golden Age, is cross-referenced in Persian and Greek records, offering further evidence of continuity during the period the phantom time hypothesis claims to be fabricated. The Mayan long count calendar is another crucial piece of evidence. The Mayans, who were masters of astronomy and timekeeping, meticulously recorded calendar dates with unparalleled accuracy. One of the most significant dates on the Mayan calendar is 914.0.0.0, which corresponds to November 29, 711 CE, right in the middle of the supposedly missing period. If those 297 years were truly fabricated, this date should correspond to 1008 CE. But instead, it fits perfectly into the timeline as we know it. Fact 1. The Mayans also recorded eclipses that coincided with the 7th and 8th centuries. These recorded events align with solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, and other astronomical phenomena observed by both the Mayans and other ancient civilizations across the globe, confirming the authenticity of their dating system. Fact 2. Meanwhile, in China, the Tang Dynasty, from 618 to 907 CE, recorded extensive historical events, including military campaigns, diplomatic relations, and cultural advancements. The Kaiyuan Zabao, which was essentially the world's first newspaper, documented these events with dates that fit snugly into the global historical narrative. The fact that the Tang Dynasty records align perfectly with other civilizations during this time shows the timeline's validity and accuracy. Eclipses provide yet another irrefutable proof that time was accurately recorded across different civilizations. On May 5, 840 CE, a total solar eclipse passed over Charlemagne's empire. NASA's retrocalculations have pinpointed this eclipse to an exact date, proving that this event, recorded by contemporaneous sources, actually happened at the designated time. If the phantom years were real, the eclipse would have had to occur hundreds of years later or earlier, disrupting the entire historical framework. Fact 1. Halley's Comet, which has a 76-year orbit, also serves as a timekeeper. Chinese astronomers recorded its passage in 684 CE and 837 CE in perfect alignment with the expected intervals. If time had been fabricated, this comet would have appeared 400 years late, further solidifying the idea that the phantom time hypothesis is just that, a hypothesis with no factual basis. Fact 2. In addition to Halley's Comet, another significant cosmic event, the massive supernova explosion that occurred in 1054 CE, now known as the Crab Nebula, was observed by Chinese, Japanese, and Islamic astronomers. These observations are independently corroborated by historical records, proving the consistency of time and cosmic events across multiple cultures. Time isn't a story. It's a network of scientific, cultural, and natural records all pointing to one undeniable truth. History is real. Every tree ring, every eclipse, every coin, every calendar, and every historical record fits together perfectly to confirm the passage of time as we know it. So the next time someone tells you that 297 years are missing, ask them, where are the tree rings? Where are the eclipses? Because the answers are already out there, staring us in the face. If you enjoyed this deep dive, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Got a historical mystery you want us to tackle? Drop it in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious, stay truthful. This is Infinitia Verity, signing off.